lidt frem. So hello everyone, and we are so happy that we could be here today and tell about NewRetex. NewRetex is a Danish located company that is working with the post-consumer textile waste. We have developed this AI sorting technology. We work with the fibers of post-consumer and we make it into new yarns.
Yeah. And I just heard that you got a presentation from us, I think, a lot of honors, but I'm Anja Laursen, and I am the brand manager at NewRetex. And I have previously worked as self-employed within the beauty and textile industry with branding and communication. And today I find it very interesting to tell the story about how we can take the post-consumer textile waste and refine it into a new resource that can be used in the production of new garments.
And I'm Betina. I've been working in the textile business industry for many years. I've been working as a buyer and a product developer, mainly with a big company called Bestseller. It's a big company in Denmark. Have a lot of different kind of brands. And today at NewRetex, I work with developing these new fibers into yarns, and I talk to the fashion brands in Denmark and in Scandinavia, and trying to sell these yarns so we can use it again.
Mm-hmm. So today we are going to tell you about our work, and our work is based on two wings of NewRetex. We have on the one side, we have our sorting facility, and we're going to tell you about, of course, a story behind it, about our AI-based technology, also our traceability system, and then we're going, of course, to talk about the process from waste to new resource. The other wing is our fibers and yarns. And under this, we have the legislation on the textile industry. We're going to talk about the post-consumer waste, the post-consumer textile waste in particular, to make it clear what it requires to use this as a resource. Then, of course, we're going to talk about the green transition and why it's important. And then we're also going to dive into our fibers and yarns. This is Rikke Bæk. She is the founder of NewRetex, and she founded NewRetex in 2021. And she used to work as a fashion designer, and at some point she got this feeling that something has to change. So she wanted to look into the recycling of textile waste, and one of the first things she faced was how to sort the textiles in order to be able to recycle it. So she started to do a lot of research in this area, and she started developing this sorting technology and also developing the fibers and yarns using the post-consumer textile waste. Did I go wrong?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a second. Yeah, sorry. So our mission is based on love for our resources, for the resources we use when we produce textiles. And we want to do clever sorting of the post-consumer textile waste and secure it as a useful and valuable resource in production.
Okay, take this one.
Yeah. Thank you.
So what is coming? There will be a lot of new legislation in the textile industry. One of the first is that we have to start collecting textile waste. In Europe, you will start in 25, but in Denmark, we started in 23. We started to collecting textile waste, and it's not allowed anymore in Denmark to burn textile waste. Textile waste must undergo an environmental responsible process, and we need to start to see this post-consumer fibers and as a new resource we need to start to recycle. Many years, the textile industry has had a little bit of a free ride. Now they are facing a lot of new initiatives from the EU. One of them is the eco design for sustainable products. It will be official later this year. And at NewRetex, we are really hoping they can start the whole process of recycling the new fibers. Now we will start to look into the technologies. at NewRetex, we have this first proto line ready in October 22, and it was running a month later during some operational mode. In October 23, we have the first upscale sorting line, and it was running in production in November, and today we are sorting around 30 to 40 tons per week. Here you can see the sorting line. Later on we will show you a video so you can see how it's running. This sorting line has a capacity on 600 to 900 kilo per hour that is going through the sorting line. We can sort it out in 31 different fractions, and we can sort out 3,500 tons per year. In 24, we expect, I know the numbers is wrong, but we expect that we can sort out 3,500 tons, which means it's 3,500 million kilos of waste on one sorting line. As I mentioned before, in 25, we'll start collecting textile waste in whole of Europe, and we need a lot of these sorting lines around in Europe, so we are looking into partnerships together so we can open these facilities around in Europe. We will not do it by ourselves, but we do it with partners. During 25, in 25, we will open a new factory in Denmark, so we'll have 2 factories running in Denmark, and at that time we'll be able to have a capacity on 10,000 tons. We can sort it per year, and based on the 2 factories, we can sort out 20,000 tons per year. And in 26, we are able to sort out 40,000 tons per year, which means that we expect that is the whole, all of the waste that will be in Denmark, at least based on some of the reports that have been made. This technology that we have developed is an AI-driven automatic sorting. It has a unique sensor package. It measures and classifies all the textiles, which means each garment, we know exactly how much is weight, what the color is, what the composition is. It's a full automatic sorting line, and it has a full collecting of data. So we collect from, we receive the goods, the whole way through the sorting line, and when it ends up in fibers and in yarns. It's designed and engineered and manufactured in Denmark. So what we are really good at NewRetex is that we can do a very precise sorting. And when we do a very precise sorting, it makes sure that we have this clean fraction of, for example, 100% cotton or cotton polyester or a mix of wool and acrylic and so on. But when we know what we are working with, we can have much better fibers. And when we work with the fibers and we work with the yarns, we get a lot of new knowledge that we can put into the sorting line. So we keep on developing the sorting and keep on improving the fibers so they get better and longer. And because the longer fibers is what we need.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we have a video we want to show you of our sorting facility when it's up and running, as it is in Denmark right now.
We have 3 of these manual sorting lines. Here we sort away all the waste, shoes, bags, and everything else, nothing to do with garments. It can also be teddy bears and things from the kitchen. It's a lot of different things. Here we start, you can see clearly the traceability we have through the whole line. Here you can see the robot is taking piece by piece the garment up in the machine. And on the convoy is going through all the sensor package, where I will take pictures and measure it and read the structure and the fibers. And here you can see how it's sorted out in colors, but also in composition. Is it pure cotton, or is it cotton polyester, or so on? And again, we can sort out in 31 different qualities.
Yes. So that was just so that you know how it is at our facility. And as you can see in the video, we get our input from municipal waste collection. That's when it comes in with the containers like this. But we also receive it from the industrial laundries and from textile industry. What is common for all textiles that we receive is that it is old, used, worn-out textiles. So it is a complete mix of different materials and types, and this requires this very precise sorting to make sure that we can refine it and use it as a new resource. And ultimately that we can replace it for other resources like pre-consumer, I'm going to talk about that in a while, and also virgin resources. Yeah. Perfect. So this chart is just to show you the many steps there is when we want to refine the textile waste or the post-consumer textile waste. And it's also to clarify that even though the trash or the waste may seem like a free resource because it's something we just throw out, it actually is, it takes a lot of work and also is costly to secure that we can use it again. So we have all these steps, and the first 5 points are the ones that are made at our facility. We have the submission of textile waste, and then we have the registration. And we have this system to follow the waste all the way through the factory. So everything is registered with the customer number and a lot number. Then we have the manual pre-sorting that you just saw, and it means that we have 6 people right now doing the manual pre-sorting. Everything we get from the municipalities has to be taken out of the bags, and every piece has to be taken up and looked at, because we have to see if it's wet, if it's broken, or if it's not broken, and I'm going to come back to that also. Then we have the automatic sorting when we have done the manual sorting, and then we have the baled fractions, as you also saw in the video. And after this, we have partners around Europe that we do the rest of the work with when we do the mechanical recycling and the manufacturing of our yarns and of our fibers also. Yeah, so we have, we often tell, it's important to tell about the 2 different types of post-consumer and pre-consumer textile waste. 2 types of textile waste. So we have the post-consumer textile waste that we work with. And it's quite different from the pre-consumer textile waste. So this chart is to tell you the differences so that it's clear why it takes this effort to bring the post-consumer textile waste back in the loop. The post-consumer textile waste is, as I already said, it's worn out, it's been washed, it's broken, and it's mixed from all kinds of materials in one pot. The pre-consumer textile waste comes from the textile industry, and that's new textiles that have never been used. It can be claims and cut-offs and scraps, and it's often quite uniform amounts of textiles. So it's easier, it's an easier way to bring back textile waste because it's new, it's in better condition, and it's uniform. But we have to face that we have all this post-consumer textile waste, and that's what we are trying to make sure that this can be refined and used as a new resource when we do our precise sorting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just to dive a bit into this manual pre-sorting, because it's at the moment a very important step to secure that what goes on in the further recycling process is the textiles that are suitable for recycling. And we have 3 different categories we sort into. Of course, we take all the clothing away that is suitable for reuse. And right now, it's about 10% of the amounts that we get in. We have 10% of reusable garments. We also take away duvets and pillows with down, because there's also a demand right now for that. And then we also take bags, belt, and shoes from. And actually, we're not supposed to receive it anyway, because it's not textiles. But when people sort at home, they also put all those things in the bags with the clothing. So we take that away also. And yeah, the reusable stuff is for resale, so we try to find good buyers. We have this dream that in Denmark we keep our own reusable stuff in Denmark and sell it in Denmark. And right now we have some partners who's actually trying to build up second-hand stores with our clothing, but we also have to face the fact that it's actually quite a lot of textiles for reuse. So it's difficult to figure out how to keep it all in the country where it belongs. So that's also a challenge we face right now, and we try to solve it.
I'd just like to add one thing, because in 25, every country in Europe has to collect all the textile waste, and there will be a lot more of these reused items. So in a couple of years, there will be I think Europe will be overswimmed with all the second-hand clothing, and what to do with it then, because then Africa, they are starting to say no, and India and all these countries. So we're also facing a huge challenge on this point as well.
Yeah, and of course, all the clothing that are suitable for reuse has to be reused again. So it's also very interesting to work with. Then of course the main focus at our place is to take the items for recycling in the further process. So everything that is in bad condition, that cannot be worn as it is, but is suitable for recycling, we take that away. And then we also have a lot of waste that is not suitable for either of these two. And I'll show you the different percentages of these three later on. Yeah, so yes, this is the waste category, and it's just to specify once more that when we get the waste from the municipalities, there is so much of everything else in the deliveries. We get a lot of wet, dirty, or moldy stuff, and that's of course sometimes due to maybe wrong collection, that when it's collected it gets wet, so that's something that needs to be addressed also. And then there are different kinds of stuff that we know right now is not very likely to be able to be recycled. Right now we can only detect one-layered textiles at with our technology. So if it's multi-layered and not able to reuse, then we have to take it away right now. And that's also one of the reasons you talk about mono materials when you design, because then it would be easier to recycle it. So in the future, we hope that could be something. Yeah, and then there's a lot of other stuff, and we find a lot of funny stuff like teddy bears, like Betina said, and books and ornaments and bikes and all kind of stuff. Sometimes you wonder.
Knives and pots and whatever. Yeah.
Everything. Also money. Sometimes also money. Yeah. So just to get back to the difference between post-consumer and pre-consumer as input, because that is one of the important issues to be aware of, is that when we have the post-consumer textile waste, we have a game changer. We have the possibility to bring back the old textiles into the loop and use it again, use the resources that was already used once. So it is a new, even though it's an old resource, but it's also an area in development. There needs to be done a lot of research and development yet to come to find out the best ways to do it. And then it needs this precise and comprehensive sorting to make sure that we have the best input when we use it in the production of new garments. And also the legislation, as Tina told about, they set the standards for it. The pre-consumer textile waste is what we are used to see when we buy recycled clothes. It's a bit easier to use because I told you before it's uniform in materials and compositions. So it's also a good way to get rid of stock. And it can be both a good thing and a bad thing because 30% of all new clothing never hits the shops. So it can also be a convenient way to overproduce and then just put it back in the loop. And then just to say what the post-consumer needs to have, we need to have the desire to want to change something when we go in and use it take it back in the loop. So we have to go that extra mile to do something new and to change some of the things we used to do. So that's the difference between the two, one of them. Yeah.
So now we will talk about traceability, and it's something else that we are really good at NewRetex, and we work a lot with. And also traceability is one of the new keywords you hear all the time when you talk about the EU legislation that will come. We have built this kind of umbrella over the company, so we can collect all the data and we guarantee full traceability both ways. We have a real-time flow and KPI monitoring in our sorting line. We have traceability from waste to the resource. We have a seamless integration with the ERP system, and we have the full collection of all the data for the whole process to optimize. We have developed this waste report that we, all the clients that work with us can have, so they know exactly when they hand over, for example, 5 tons of waste, know exactly how much there has been taken away, that maybe there's the shoes and the bags, but also if there's anything we need to burn, if there is, for example, 1 ton of 100% cotton and all the fractions that we divided into, we have all the data in one report that all the clients will have, so they know exactly what they have handed in to us, and they have it as documentation. We give them full data and transparency of what they have handed over. And one of the benefits of this AI-driven automatic sorting is that we have specialized this sorting, and it has a highly flexible system, which means that it's easy to shift into different kind of sorting or improving the new technologies. We have an ongoing improving our sorting capacity, which means that it's easy to just, when we have the waste in, it's easy to put up a new line, and it's easy to optimize the recycling possibilities. And then again, the main thing here is also that we provide full data and traceability.
Yeah. So, what are the numbers in the textile industry regarding the environment? I guess a lot of you already know a lot of these numbers, but it's also always good to have them in the face to remember why we have to make the change. I think you all know here. Only 1% of the textile industry worldwide is circular, so there's a lot of basis for doing a bit better than that. I think one of the most interesting things, or it always shocks me a bit, is that it is expected to have a 60% growth in production of clothing and textiles in 2030 compared to now. And when we already know that 30% of new garments never hits the shops and stores, it's quite shocking, I think, to think of that we use all these resources on something that a lot of it never hits the shops. Yeah. In production of virgin material, we also use a lot of resources. And one of the things that a lot of people don't think of is that we use 1,400 liters of water when we produce a cotton for a t-shirt, for instance. That's 10 full bathtubs of fresh water. And also 3 kilos of chemicals are used just to produce 1 t-shirt. And the good thing when we use the post-consumer textile waste fibers is that we don't use new water and we don't use new chemicals for that part of the resources in our yarns. So we can change some of the numbers. If this was in a big scale, we could change it. Yeah. And I talked about previously, based on our data, we can see that on all we get in, we have 30% waste. That means that it's things that we cannot take further on in the recycling sorting process. Then we have 10% of reusable items, and then the rest, the remaining 60%, are further on for the recycling process. And the second sorting is our automatic sorting, and then we have again 15% waste taken away. And then we have for downcycling about 25%. And we are trying to find different partners to take the stuff that is suitable for downcycling. We have someone within the automobile industry and the building industry, and also acoustics and so on. So we try to find the best buyers for that part also. And then we have the textile for recycling. So 30% of that remaining goes for sorting into our 30 compositions. Fractions in compositions and colors. And then again, we can divide that in the fibers and yarns where we have the mechanical recycling and the chemical recycling. And we work with the mechanical one ourselves. Mm-hmm.
Then I will start talking about what I'm good at, and it's the fibers and the yarns. And I think we can say that NewRetex is one of the first mover making yarns with post-consumer waste. As Anja was mentioning before, today when we find a recycled yarn, it's primarily made with pre-consumer waste. It's also made from PET bottles and so on. But now we are working with this new resource, with this post-consumer textile waste, and we're working with it, make it into fibers and make it into yarns. Today we only do the sorting by ourselves. In a year or so, we will also be able to open up the fibers, so we have our own fiber opening machines. Today we work with partners in Europe to open the fibers for us, and then we work with spinners around in Europe, mainly in Portugal and in Turkey, because a lot of the Danish companies and European companies has production, when they have it in Europe, it's in Portugal and in Turkey. And how do we make these yarns? How do we consider the quality and the composition? All this we have to take into consideration is how do we want to use the yarns? Is it for the fashion industry or is it for workwear? Is it pure cotton or is it the mixed qualities? So, or is it thin or thick yarns? All this we need to look at before we decide the composition of the yarns that we will make. We work, the thinnest yarn that we can make is 30 by 1. It's the normal yarn that you, for example, make for a t-shirt like this, or sweats. The thickest one, at least for knitted fabrics, is 10 by 1. We work with 2 different kinds of spinning methods. The one is called open end. It's mainly made for working with the short fibers, which is post-consumer, is a short fiber. But we have also made yarns with the method called ring spun. Right now we are working on something new. We are working on making a color card because we are really good at the color sorting. So we will make a color card in 100% cotton. So the yarns we make is made with 100% cotton. And the cotton yarns that we make is, now there is 10% post-consumer in it, and then there is 20% pre-consumer, the cutoff as Anja explained earlier. And then we have also virgin in it. Because when you work with cotton, it's a more used fiber than, for example, when you work with polyester. That's why you have to combine it with both the pre-consumer and the new virgin. But we have to remember, at least we used some of it that's already used and put it into the yarns.
Yeah, and also when we make the yarns with polyester, as you said, then the post-consumer part can be...
Yeah, exactly. When you make it a cotton and polyester mix, then it's easier to increase the content of the post-consumer. So I think the yarns that we have made now with a mix of cotton polyester is with 30% of post-consumer textile waste. Yeah. As mentioned, also we work a lot with the colors because we have this amazing color sorting. And in fact, we can sort all the composition into colors if you want to. We can play with the colors by adding the pre-consumer waste because they have also divided that into colors. So if you have a blue, you can add some light blue, for example, and some dark blue, and then you get 2 or 3 different variations of a blue color. And we have this recipe, so we can keep on making the same colors again and again, because the color sorting technology is like capsuled in from this blue to this blue is the color we are working with. So we can always make sure that we have the same color within 5 to 10%. And just to show you the colors, for example, here you have the textile waste from a t-shirt from the hospital. It's this blue. Then when you can come up and see it later if you want to. Then you have the fibers when it's made, and then you have these small white fibers in it because it's virgin or pre-consumer fibers. And then you spin it into a yarn. so it gets lighter because it mixes with the virgin fibers. And then when you put it into, for example, socks or t-shirts, then you get this nice, really melange blue color. So this is an example of one of the colors that we have made.
And we love to work with the melange colors. We love to see the different textiles that was brought into it. So we like that it's visible, that it's made with post-consumer textile waste.
Yeah, we have this yarn that is not sorted by color, so it's a mix of all colors, and then you mix it with some virgin, then we have this, you can see, in fact, the story of the small different colors in it. Yeah, you can see it up here
we
also.
have different types you can see afterwards, but we love this.
This is the first yarn and fabric that we make, and you can see the melange color effect is based on that it's no color sorting, but just use the colors as they are. Then when we work with the yarns and the fibers, we of course also do a lot of testing, because we want to make sure that the yarns that we make are good enough and can, keep the quality during wash and use and these kind of things. So we both test the fiber length, but also the strength of the fibers. We test the yarns by the evenness of the yarn. How even is it? What is the strength when you pull it apart? We also test it when it's put into fabric, the peeling and the color.
In evenness or in wash?
No, I can't remember the name. Okay, but yeah, we do a lot of tests on both on fibers and yarns and in qualities. And then, of course, we'll also look into the chemicals, because when you, as a fashion brand or textile industry, you have to make sure that you don't have any chemicals in it. So you have to make sure it lies according to the REACH testing. And we test according to a firm with a little bit higher standards. So in that way, we make sure that there's no chemical in it. But I think when you look at the post-consumer waste, we don't have to be that afraid of the chemicals, because it had been washed a lot of times. So a lot of it is already washed out. So that one of the good things, yeah. Then we're also working on have NewRetex certified for the GRS certification. So all the fibers and our yarns are GRS. Mm-hmm. So one of the benefits by working with our yarns is that you take the waste and transform it into a new valuable resource. And we guarantee the full traceability in the supply chain. And we meet the new regulation that is coming from the EU. We provide this product passport for all the buyers of our yarns, to make sure that they can see exactly how the yarn is made, what it's made of, where it's from, and these kind of things, so they can put it directly into their own digital pass. When we do the production of the yarns, we use zero water and we use no chemicals, and at the same time we also reduce the CO2 emissions. Yeah. So now we are almost done presenting, and we would like just to make a small sum up. So what we have developed is this AI-based full functional sorting line. And what we are really good at is to sort the post-consumer textile waste, and also have this two-way traceability, which is really important because of all the things that's happening right now. The traceability, the transparency is very important, and if you go to Asia, it's not possible to get this. Whole Europe. Oh, I was too fast. Yeah. So we work a lot with the fibers. We work a lot with the yarns to make sure that we have a very good sorting. And as mentioned before, right now we are looking into making these 25 hubs, new sorting lines around in Europe, together with partners, so we can have this technology in the whole Europe and make sure that we have the very good sorting, so we have the possibility to have a good recycling and some good fibers.
Yeah, so what is NewRetex then all about? We are about bringing the post-consumer textile waste into the loop as a new strong resource. And we want to be a part of this green transition and take responsibility for...
I would like to add one thing.
Oh, yeah. It does it itself. I don't do it. So to take responsibility for this green transition, and also for all our collective textile waste.
And again, there will also be a new EU legislation that means that it's not allowed to export any textile waste out of Europe which means that all the waste will be here in Europe, so we need to start to see it as a new resource. We need to start working with it. We need to start together build up this market for the recycling. And right now, has not started for real yet. We are still waiting that the people to wake up, to take responsibility and start to work with this new resource.
Yeah. So that was all from us. Thank you for listening. And of course, we are ready to answer any questions you may have. And also, you can come and look and feel and ask us here if you want to.
And we have different kind of small brochure with us, both on the yarns, but also if you want to look more or learn more about the sorting line and the technologies, we have some here you can take home with you. And again, if you want to hear more about the fabrics and other things, you just come and say hi later on. We'll be here the whole day.
Thank you. In fact, we have some questions from Works Up community. And the first question is, how many different types AI can identify in the composition of the item? What kind is accuracy? 5% or more?
Oh, I think some of the composition we can guarantee within 2%, depending on which quality. For example, when we look at cotton and elastan, we have a very precise sorting. So within 2%, we can see the elastan.
Okay.
Yeah, and the clean fractions are.
Yeah, again, depending on the composition of the fraction. But for example, for cotton, we have a very good percentage of. But also, for example, when we work with the cotton polyester fraction, we are also very precise in the sorting. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do 60-40, and we can just set the standards, and then within. Yeah.
That's great. Mm-hmm. And the next question is. At first, thank you for the interesting presentation. To clarify, is your automated sorting only sorting for recycling, meaning that reusable fractions have all been removed first from post-consumer fractions?
Yeah. We remove all usable items in the manual resorting. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So nothing. It's supposed to be nothing that is reusable should go through the recycling process and the
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And the last one, is your AI sorting technology able to identify products' brand?
No.
No.
No, we cannot. But one thing I'd like to add, we cannot see that. But for example, if there is buttons or hard plastic and these kind of things, we can also detect that and also put it in a bin as only with all the hard metal parts. Mm-hmm. We can also, for example, see if it's denim. So all the denim fraction is also in one. And all this technology, it's keep on developing. So I think in a short while, we can also see the difference if it's knitted or if it's woven, which also have a really good possibilities to work on the fibers, because when you don't mix the woven and the knitted parts, then you can open the fibers more slowly when you work with the knitted fabrics. So you get the longer fibers. And when you work with the woven fabrics, it takes a little bit more power. So you have to open it in that way. And then if you have the knitted fabric together with the woven, then you destroy the knitted part. So by the way that we can separate it, it will be much better fiber as well. So this will keep on going, that developing different kind of things, so we make sure that we can make the best fibers. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I'm sure that there's more questions. Okay, we can take one, but one is good because we are running a little bit out of time. So.
Thank you guys so much. Honestly, I do the same thing in Estonia. The only difference is we only do manual sorting. So my question is, one person in our company sorts 800 kilos in 6 hours. How fast can your AI do that, and how efficient it is? Secondly, a human runs on food. Your AI is probably on energy, right? What's the consumption on that? And third question, is it open source technology? Thank you.
Open source technology, what do you mean with that?
It means it's accessible to other people, or is it privately owned?
No, it is in fact privately owned, but again, we are selling it. So if anyone wants to buy the technology, they can do that. Yeah. And for the capacity, we can sort around 600 to 900 kilo per hour for the machine. Again, it's also depending on on what you're getting in. But 900 kilo when it's going good. And the second question that was the energy. I know they have been looking a lot into this, and it's by the way we do the sorting. Many, for example, laundries that do it by air. One in that way you use a lot of energy. By the way we have doing it, it's useless. But if you need some really details about this, we have to talk to the tech guys, and I can for sure get in touch with them for you if you want some more about that. Yeah.
Thank you. Aitäh, Anja ja Betina. Applaus.